Hi, I'm Ram Gopal from presentationprocess.com. In this video, I'll give you a step-by-step guide to PowerPoint chart animation. When it comes to presenting charts, there are two distinct approaches. The first approach is the usual boring approach which intimidates the audience. The second approach is the storytelling approach where you communicate a coherent story with your PowerPoint charts. In this video, I'll show you the distinction between the two different approaches, and I'll also give you a step-by-step guide to applying PowerPoint chart animation like a pro so your slides are clearer and more memorable for your audience. So let us jump right in. When it comes to presenting chart slides, most business presenters make their presentation like this. They show everything in one go. Now think about the audience. They won't really know what exactly to look at in this chart. Even the slide title doesn't give them any help. Normally, when so much information is presented to your audience in one go, it intimidates them and they usually tune out. Now take a look at the same chart when presented like a story. First, I show just the slide title. Take a look at the title here. It says, Cindy shows the biggest improvement in 4 months. With just the title, the audience gets a clear idea about what the chart is going to be about. Now, compare this with the previous title which says sales performance in the first 4 months. It doesn't give any idea about what is the takeaway from this chart. The next step is to orient your audience to the chart you're about to present by showing them the two axes. The way I would narrate this is, I'm going to show the performance in 1,000 units of Alan, Bob and Cindy across 4 months. Now your audience has a clear idea about what is going to be presented. Then I'll start telling the story with my chart. The way I would say this is, first let us take a look at the performance of Alan across the 4 months. As you can see here, the performance in the month of April is pretty much the same as the performance in the month of Jan for Alan. Now let us try and compare the performance of Bob with Alan. As you can see here, the performance in the month of April has been pretty much the same as in the month of Jan for Bob as well. Now, I wish to draw your attention to the performance of Cindy. As you can see, in the month of April, Cindy has performed significantly higher than her performance in the month of Jan. What is important to note is, Cindy's performance has been on the rise in the last 4 months, whereas Alan and Bob's performance have been inconsistent. Now, did you notice the difference in the two approaches to presenting a chart? In the first approach, where I showed everything in one go, audience got overwhelmed. Whereas in the second case, I was able to communicate a compelling and coherent story with the chart. Now that is the way to make an impression on your audience when you present your charts. Now I'm going to show you the mechanics behind adding custom animation to your charts. I'm going to apply custom animation to this chart. So I'm going to click on the chart. Then I go to the Animations tab in PowerPoint ribbon. And then I want to keep the animation pane open, so it's very easy for me to follow the actions I'm about to take here. So I'm going to click on the animation pane, and that opens a pane that shows the various steps in the animation sequence. The next step is to choose an appropriate entrance animation to the chart. I usually prefer to use wipe animation for my column charts. So let me go to wipe. And as you can see here, the direction of wipe is from bottom to up, which is perfectly right for us. And when I go to the slideshow mode and click, I have the entire chart animating in one go. Now that is not the way that I would like my animation to be. I want to have animation in a proper sequence. Now how do I animate the various elements in the chart in a proper sequence? If I go to the animation pane, I can see only one animation event here. That is where understanding the right chart animation technique comes into play. I'm going to click on the chart. Then I go to the effect options here. You can also go to effect options by clicking on the small arrow option here and going to effect options. In this case, I'm going to choose a simpler option, which is to choose this one. Now, as soon as I click on that particular icon, I can see this drop down menu appear. By default, the the animation is applied as one object, which means the entire object is going to be animated in one go. We don't want that option. We want to animate it by series or by category. Now let me show you what I mean by animating the chart by series. Let us apply this option by series, and now let us go to the slideshow mode. On the first click, I get to explain the two axes to the audience. Then on my first click, I have my first series appear. Then on the next click, my second series appears, and on the third click, my third series appears. Normally, the ones that you see here on the horizontal axis are called categories, and the ones you see on the vertical axis are called series. So when you choose to animate your chart by series, you choose to show the performance of each of the salespeople on a click. Now let me show you what happens when I choose to animate the chart by category. Once again, I click here, I go to the effect options. Now when I make the change, it will replace whatever that has been selected here. So instead of by series, I am going to choose by category. Now let me show you what happens. On the first click, I have my axis explained. Then on the second click, I have my first month's performance shown, which is performance by category. Then I click for the second month, third month, and fourth month. You choose this option whenever you want to talk a bit more about the events that happened in a particular month rather than to talk about the performance of different salespeople. Now there are a couple more options available in effect options. They are by element in series and by element in category. They are very painful for the audience because every single element appears on click, and that can really bore your audience and they will tune out. So I would recommend that you don't use any of these two options, which is by element in series and by element in category. Always stick to by series or by category. So that is the secret that top class business presenters use to communicate a coherent and compelling story with their chart slides. I hope you got a clear idea about how to use PowerPoint chart animation to tell a meaningful story to your audience. Now, as a thank you for watching this video this far, I have put together a small and free mini training called Learn 5 Simple Animation Tricks Under 5 Minutes to make your slides clear and memorable. It's a beautiful training that shows you how to leverage the power of custom animation to tell compelling and coherent stories with your PowerPoint slides to your audience. You can sign up for the mini training by clicking on the button here. You can also sign up for the mini training by clicking on the link that I have provided in the description area right below this video. If you're a business presenter, like a business owner, a business executive, a trainer, or a consultant, this mini training is a must-watch for you. So click on the button here and enroll for the training. I'll see you inside the training. Bye-bye.